Hi guys, Aceface back with another video for Twisted Dice. I'm back with some more Tyranid tactics and the next part of the cap system and how to become better at Tyranids on the battlefield. So if you do like this video, please do hit that like and subscribe button, and thank you so much for all you guys that have joined the club and are now subscribers to Twisted Dice. The support has been amazing. You guys are absolutely amazing, and thank you so much. We can't tell you how happy we are at the moment. Me and Darren are really chuffed, so you guys are amazing. Thank you. And if you want to support us further and become one of the awesome patrons, the links are all down below. Also, there are links down below to all the other bits and pieces and places you can find Twisted Dice. So let's jump into this video. So this is basically part 3 of this series on cap, which is control, aggravate and power. And how to build your lists. This is based on Tyranids, but actually you can use this system for any army and it will work really effectively. But we're going to talk about Tyranids and how it factors for Tyranids. So we've already covered the principle of the system and we've also covered control. So today we're going to concentrate on aggravate, and probably my favourite of the categories, and talk about how that factors in. So hopefully you can enjoy this. So aggravate, so what this is about. So we talked about control and that part, but aggravate, the key part of this strategy is what you're trying to do is you're trying to keep your opponent away from your control units. So these are the units that you don't really necessarily care whether they live through the army, and you don't really necessarily care if they do an awful lot of damage. What you want these to do is to really stop your opponent getting where it needs to score those important points to win at the game, particularly those important primary points. So these units are there to do that. They're not really there to do anything else. And you know, you're almost tricking your opponent, you know, because you want your opponent to think that these are key points, and you want your opponent not to have a choice but have to deal with them. If they've done that and they've spent valuable time and resource to deal with your aggravate units, then the rest of your army is going to function much better than it would if they were not there. So what sort of units are we thinking about when we're talking about aggravate units? We're talking about units that can move super quick, because these are the units that need to apply early pressure. But also these units can be units that come in from reserve and apply pressure slightly later in the game. So you can have almost 2 waves of aggravate units. You have the units that straight away off the bat are going to be there on your opponent's doorsteps and starting to apply that initial pressure. And then those could go down and could die. And then the next wave comes in from reserve, from deep strike, and start to apply that second wave of pressure and aggravation to your opponent. So what units fit the bill really well for that? So Spore Mines fit the bill amazingly. They are units that are absolutely useless. They don't do anything really. What they do is they hold and they take space and they push your opponent back. They have that extra added threat of doing mortal wounds, which nobody likes. So when your opponent, which will also be potentially, if they're playing the game right, playing a similar style, and they're trying to get their control units to where they need to get, those control units quite often are quite susceptible to mortal wound damage, because those control units quite often are resilient to a lot of other things. Mortal wounds can scare them quite a lot. So all our Spore Mine units work really well in that aggravate role. So whether they're Spore Mines coming from the Spore Field as using that stratagem, and paying the points to get some offensive Spore Mines in your face, whether you're using Mucilids, whether you're using Meiotic, whether you're using the Sporocyte, however you're using Spore Mines, whether you're using a Biovore that's almost purposely missing, all those things are putting and applying aggravate pressure that will hold your opponent. I'm going to say it, you won't like it, I'll get loads of comments below, but Gene Stealers. Gene Stealers do this job really well. The problem is Gene Stealers do tend to be a bit expensive now, and do still struggle, but you know, and they're not that effective in small units, which does hurt them. but they are a very fast, effective unit that will get forward quickly and will apply pressure. So I would not 100% write them off. I'm struggling to get them in my lists at the moment, but they are definitely what I would call an Aggravate unit and one to look at. Raveners, again, people are laughing, but and I know you are. I know you're laughing. Stop laughing. They're not that bad. They're extremely quick. They put out quite a lot of shots, and they can, again, just be that roadblock. Get in front of your opponent, snag an objective that really isn't important for you necessarily to score with them, but is again just providing that roadblock. Gargoyles, again, not the greatest unit, but they're quick, they're fast, they'll get in your opponent's face, they'll take up space, they'll start to be an irritation. Hormagaunts, again, in front of your termagants, pushing up first, being that first wave to get in your opponent's face. This is the units that are going to do really, really well. You can also use, and you can use your Rippers to do the same thing again. So this is a deep strike unit potentially that they come in second turn, and again, you're just trying to pin your opponent back, trying to put them in pressure. And we've got two character units that are expensive, but also do this role very well. Old One Eye and Swarmlord. Both these units are really Aggravate units. Both those units probably you don't expect to survive, but you do expect to put pressure. The problem you've got with our One Eye is these days you're probably going to need to outflank him maybe, but he's not slow. If you've taken him in Kraken, you're going to move him pretty quick. Swarmlord's got the ability to double move things, and that's why not only he can be an Aggravate unit, but he can also send other units to be Aggravate units as well. So those are the sort of units that you're going to be looking at as an Aggravate unit. Also, things like flying Hive Tyrants. Again, you can put these guys really in your opponent's face. They're fairly resilient, but the idea of them is just to hold your opponent in place, because Ninth Edition is not about killing things, it's about trading and it's about holding. The more stuff that you can throw away that slows your opponent down and gives you maximum points, the better and more effective you'll be in the game. So always be thinking about that. Always be thinking about trading. Yes, I'm going to lose this big unit that is quite expensive, but how long is it going to stay there? How long is it going to keep my opponent out of the area of the board that I really want it to be in? And that's what makes that unit a winner within the Aggravate category. So be thinking about what units you can use to push your opponent and keep them in place. They are the units that will do really effective in this role. Morlocks, again, great aggravation unit. These guys, not too expensive, can come up, they've got quite a few wounds, take a little bit of killing, and again, they just push your opponent to deal with them. They're going to have to go back and deal with them, otherwise they're just going to be a nuisance. Any unit that can do that, that's the units that you need to use in this category. And don't build an army without it. You need stuff that is going to reduce the amount of pressure on your control units and on your power units. If you don't have that, you will find that your opponent is on the front foot because they are doing the attacking, and all you're doing is just trying to hold out and hoping that you can get to those valuable positions on the board first. And if you don't, then you're in real trouble. So make sure when you're building your list, you take into account the A and the Aggravate units. What units are you putting in your list to make sure your opponent is not going to get where you want to be? And if you haven't done that and you've just thought, I'm going to bring control units, I'm going to bring power units, then just think what happens if your opponent gets a jump on you and gets to the middle first. How are you going to deal with that? Because are you just going to depend on your power units to try and take them off? Maybe you are, maybe that'll be successful, but maybe it won't. If you haven't got those Aggravate units, you might find you come unstuck. So let me know what units you're using for your Aggravate units, whether you've had any luck with that in the game. And I will be back with another video real soon when we will be covering the last part of the cap system, and we will be controlling the power and how these heavy hitters are going to win you the game. So thanks very much for watching, guys. I'm Aceface, and I'll be back soon. Bye for now.